Welcome to Oyate Today. Oyate in Lakota means people. Regional Health is a proud sponsor of Oyate Today. We believe in helping communities live well.
Hi, welcome to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Oyate Today is produced by Tim and Jackie Gallego. Tim is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Our guests tonight is Darla Takes the Knife and Kyle White, both of which will be here at Native Pop in downtown Rapid City coming in July. And we'll get to that discussion shortly. But I wanted to have both of you introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself. So Darla, if you could, for those of us who haven't met you.
Hi, my name is Darla Takes the Knife, and I am from Eagle Butte, South Dakota. I also spent a lot of my upbringing in my childhood in Thunder Butte, South Dakota. I am Hunk Papa and Minikoju. I guess I would say I've been raised by my grandmother. Ethel uses the knife.
Sure.
And my father, who is now deceased, is Sylvan Brown, and he also, they're both my inspirations in my upbringing with my culture, language, traditions. And they really instilled that in me. So
Sure, and now you're a seamstress and a fashion designer as well. So.
Yes, bringing it out through my sewing.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and we'll get to that shortly.
Okay.
So, and Kyle, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Kyle White. I'm an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe, born and raised on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I grew up in a community called Mission Flats. It's just south of the Red Cloud Indian School. And then that's really where I learned a lot of the culture, being able to do arts and crafts, hands-on things. Red Cloud School was able to bring those things in as a youth growing up. Also learning to bead from my grandmother, Josephine Chief, and a lot of the other traditional arts. Through some of my uncles and things like that. So I'm very happy to be here and to share a little bit of my knowledge that I have pertaining to traditional Lakota art.
Sure, and your role at Native Pop this year is going to be as a culture bearer, and we'll talk about that shortly. So I appreciate you being here too, sir.
Thank you.
Darla, could you talk to me? Well, you're a seamstress and you're a fashion designer, and you're helping to coordinate the fashion show at Native Pop. But could you talk to me a little bit about how you decided to become a seamstress?
Well, I did grow up in the powwow circuit. My grandmother, I just want to say, was a powwow fanatic, and we were on the powwow trail every summer throughout my childhood. And she was very sharp with the art and with color, and she would always speak to me when I'm beside her on the dance styles and the beadwork, leather work. And at home out in the country, her and my Lala grandfather, they had cattle. So when they would butcher a cow, they weren't your rodeo people. They were the traditional people, where they would tan the hide or take apart the sinew, and she would sew her moccasins without a needle.
Wow.
And use the sinew. And we had no. It was all powwow music out in the country. It was real traditional. So with that, when I got older, in my early 20s, let's say I probably was even 20, and I wanted to do something for the community that was needed. And so I had meditated on this and then prayed on this, and I know there were a lot of ladies doing star quilts. So I thought, well, what is needed? Ribbon shirts, vests, moccasins. And so I prayed and I asked for the ability to make these things, which I have not done, but I wanted it all to be Lakota culture. And so with that, about a year later, I just had a burning passion to start sewing, and I just started sewing without anybody teaching me. And then I wanted to get my skills down to a higher level, a higher standard.
Sure.
Before I started adding on my Lakota art. And so then after many years, then I just started adding on more art and more art. And sometimes people think I bought my clothes from someone else and then put stuff on them, but no, I make them.
So do you incorporate a lot of those early teachings then from your grandparents and parents into your clothing then, and those lessons
Yes.
are kind of interpreted through your creations then?
Yes, most definitely. I've learned colors, traditional colors. I've learned traditional styles. I've learned the male and female styles, and the different types of history where there were chicken dancers. They weren't prior to how the powwow is nowadays. I learned that at a young age, and I had my grandmother, my dad, who was also lived with One Bull, his grandfather. They both were very, very, how shall I say, stern about teaching me culture, Lakota ways. And so that's what I try to stay within my boundaries with my garments. I'm making my apparel.
That's amazing. And so as a seamstress and as a designer and as a professional seamstress and designer, have you been in shows other than Native Pop then?
Yes, I have. I've been at the Black Hills Powwow fashion shows when they had them a few years back. I've been to the fashion show in Denver a couple years ago. And I've also coordinated a fashion show for the Cheyenne River Fair. I believe that was in 2000. And that turned out pretty big, and I was excited about that. But so this year I thought, well, I can, when I got offered, I took the chance because I feel like I can do it.
This year at Native Pop?
Yes.
Yep, okay. And so as coordinator, as part coordinator, or one of the coordinators for Native Pop, the fashion show there, what's your role then? What role do you play with that?
Okay, well, although I am a seamstress and I can show my stuff, I thought I'd put that on hold. I called two ladies to help me. Gail uses the knife from Cheyenne River, and Dewana Tubles from Pine Ridge. And we have discussed the kind of fashion show we want to do, and we are all on the same page, and we are all in agreement to doing this show together and working together. And so I guess my role would be reaching out to the other seamstresses on the reservations through the Moccasin Trail, trying to avoid social media. I believe if we put it out there, a lot of the common sewers, they will not jump at the opportunity to show their clothes,
So you're really talking about making that personal and interpersonal connection with these various people who would like to do shows like this, and connecting with them on a personal level to engage them and bring them in then.
Yes.
And so how important is that then, to support those persons or those people who haven't taken that step?
It's very important. All of the Native fashion shows, where in New York, if they're showing Native clothes, Denver, down south, anywhere, wherever they're showing Native fashion, it all comes down to our common seamstresses. And I just want to give a shout out to them. Without them, we couldn't get as far as we can.
Sure. I think I sewed a pillow back in home ec class in the late 80s, early 90s. So that's my only my only opportunity to do that. So I appreciate the work you're doing, definitely. We're going to take a break, Darla, Kyle, and we'll come back and have a discussion with Kyle and the culture bearer role that he's going to be playing at Native Pop. So we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
It was after his third open heart surgery. Brady started crying and grabbing at his chest. We agreed to call 911 right away. And by the time we got him out to our vehicle, he was completely limp.
He was slumped in Mom's arms, got some oxygen on him right away, and he started to come around.
We were pretty scared that we might have to relocate. Buffalo Regional really wanted us to stay here and not have to move to a bigger city.
They've proven to us that they'll be here for Brady.
Our school has great students and dedicated teachers, but we need our community volunteers to help us to provide a broader view of the many ways a good education can point to a bright future.
Did someone say volunteer? Our team at Black Hills is here to help. In fact, we sponsor events and projects, and our employees volunteer for organizations throughout the Black Hills, including partnering with schools to help students learn more about life outside the classroom. Extracurricular, extra fun.
You can't predict life's ups and downs. You just give it all you've got to stay on top. But it's easier with a partner like Security First Bank. Since 1898, we've been riding with you through the country's biggest ups and downs. And this is where we'll stay. Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on. Member FDIC.
Native Son News has been voted the best weekly newspaper in its class for 2015 by the South Dakota and North Dakota Newspaper Associations. You can find a copy of the Native Son News at many businesses and vending machines in Rapid City and the surrounding area, and on all 9 reservations. We publish every Wednesday, so advertisers and subscribers can reach our diverse readership by calling 605-721-1266. The Native Son News covers the other side of the story.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guest tonight is Darla Takes the Knife and Mr. Kyle White. Thank you both for being here. Darla, that was a great discussion. Thank you for sharing your information with us. Kyle, could you talk to us a little bit about yourself for those of us who have not met you, sir?
Yeah, so I was born and raised Pioneers Indian Reservation. Went to school at Red Cloud Indian School from kindergarten and all the way through my senior year in high school. And that's where, we learned a lot about, Lakota culture, art, language. That was one of the things that Red Cloud was able to bring to us growing up. It's not just a Christian school, it also brings in our Lakota culture and who we are, and try to bring back the identity as who we are as Lakota people. And my mother, Vereen White, she comes from the Cedar Face family, and that's really where a lot of my culture and history and the knowledge that I have comes from. She has been an instructor at Oglala Lakota College for 35 years. She's retired now, and so growing up, I've always listened to her. Come home from school, she's preparing for an evening class, listening to her lectures, being able to ride with her in the car. She's constantly talking about our culture, history, the way that she was brought up, and being able to be immersed in that has really been able to give me, insight into who I am and how I want to display my art that I make.
And you bring up an interesting point there, because there's a lot of children that go to these schools and have these family backgrounds, and a lot of them don't retain a lot of that information. Some really cling to it and make that a part of their identity, as you mentioned, and there's some that kind of reject that information. It's not, whether it's through their influence in social media or various other reasons, but why were you able to retain and keep that and make that a part of your identity and who you are?
I think it was just, being exposed to it, at a young age. Although I'm not a fluent speaker, I do have a pretty vast vocabulary, so I can take bits and pieces of the language and kind of get the general idea. However, we definitely want to bring back our Lakota language and be able to immerse our young children into that. And so that's kind of the movement that's going on the Pioneers Reservation right now, is immersion schools, bringing in kids at a young age to begin to learn the Lakota language and you know, it starts at the house, you know, in the home, being able to have parents involved every day in the kids' lives with Lakota culture. And you know, our elders talk about how our language is the key to our culture, and really being able to understand who we are as Lakota people is one of the fundamental things that we need to be able to thrive and bring back, you know, who we truly are.
That's a good point as far as language being the key to that cultural knowledge and that cultural background, because every fluent speaker that I've spoken to and talked to about this, they've always talked about how the language creates an independent thought away from the English language. So you're thinking in Lakota, which brings a different value system, not a different way of interpreting the world. So good points you made there. At Native Pop, the Native People of the Plains, happening in July here in Rapid City, you're going to be a culture bearer. So for our audience members who are our viewers who are not aware of what a culture bearer is, what is that and what does that mean for you?
So being a culture bearer at Native Pop is someone who can really bring the ideas and history and techniques together and be able to present it in a way that the general public and people who have no prior knowledge can get a better understanding. And to those who may romanticize our culture, they can begin to get a more fine-tuned idea of who we are, and so that way they're not following those stereotypical ideologies about who we are and where we come from. You know, there's people from Europe who still think that we live in teepees, and you know, that's just not the case. And so the way that I present my artwork is in a process. I have everything set out as if I were making it, and so it'd be in one step and then the next step, and then, you know, something with the final product. And it's really hands-on for the public too. A lot of the time people will come up to my booth and they'll ask, you know, well, can I touch this, or you know, is it okay if I handle these items? And you know, that certainly is available to them. And I think that's where we get the most feedback, is being able to allow them to handle these items and, you know, see what they really look like and how they are and how they feel. You know, that's always one of the vital things with art, is being able to touch it. You know, having that sense in the art world, you know, is very important, especially for us. You know, we're hands-on people, and that's something that we do best with, is being able to teach by hands-on.
Sure. And you kind of bring up a good point as well, once again, as far as people coming to our area, tourists, visitors coming to Rapid City with a predisposed notion or idea of what Native Americans, you know, whether it's through films, Dances with Wolves, or other films of the such. So they come here with this idea of who we are, but it's kind of your role down in Native Pop, down at the art market down there, to really explain to them where we are today. And so when you say that you have hands-on art for them to feel, touch, experience, be a part of, how important is it for you to convey that historical, spiritual, cultural context of the items that they're seeing?
You know, it's very important, you know, going back to the art itself. The designs that are in the art, you know, are very specific. We have symbols that have meaning to us, specifically as Lakota people. And being able to give them that information really gives relevance to that our culture is still alive and that it's thriving today. We're not an ancestral people. We're a living culture. Our ancestors, you know, sacrificed themselves and their lives to preserve our way of life. And so, you know, that's one of the things that I keep in mind is that we're here to continue on. So, you know, we need to be able to learn and understand what these symbols mean and the history and also how these things have evolved over time through the Pan-India movement in the 70s. How the adoption of that movement has really brought together a lot of the other cultures, and you see that in some like the powwow circuit, and being able to distinguish that is important.
That's good, man. I really appreciate the work you're doing down there. Darla, both of you are that adaptation to modern times is really interpreted through the work you're doing, so I appreciate that. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll learn a little bit more about what your roles are with Native Pop. So we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
I want some more.
What's he doing?
But he can't.
Look at him. It's just not done.
Please, sir, I want some more.
More? More?
More? Please, sir.
He has asked for!
Thank you.
What? Well, he did say please. Sir? Yes, he did. And thank you. Yeah, and thank you. He's a wonderful boy. I do like the boy.
Please, and thank you. Pass it on.
Thank you.
More than 2 million men and women have served in our military since 9/11. Now, many of them are transitioning back into civilian life. They're considering career options, writing resumes, starting businesses. ACP AdvisorNet can help. ACP AdvisorNet is a nonprofit online community where Americans can offer career advice to those who have served. Now we can serve those who served us by helping them to find their next career. Visit acpadvisornet.org.
Being connected to him with the earth.
Probably the pride. Pride of being Lakota. Look around you and look at your culture. Look at the people who care about you. There is hope. There is always hope. There will always be hope.
Suicide isn't the Lakota way. If someone you know needs help, please call 867-HOPE, a public service message from the Lakota Voice Project.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guest tonight is Darla Takes the Knife and Mr. Kyle White. Thank you both for being here once again. It's been a really good discussion. Darla, could you talk to me a little bit about your role as a coordinator for the fashion show at Native Pop then? Are there any needs or is there anything, information you want to get out to the public?
Yes, we do have some needs. We are looking for people to wear the clothes. We're looking for all sizes, male, female. We are thinking 30 models, but you know, it could vary. And we are still in search of some seamstresses that if you feel you wanting to come out and show a tea dress or you know, something basic. It doesn't have to be fancy, but if you've got fancy clothes, then decorated clothes, then for sure, you know, you're more than welcome. I'm just wanting to focus on the grassroots, the native common designers that sew for their family, sew for certain people, you know, and they're not, they don't have an inventory, they don't have pictures, those types of seamstresses.
Sure. So you're looking for models any size?
Yes.
That's good. I really appreciate that. Would that include myself then?
Yes.
I think I just committed to something.
Yeah.
Thank you, though. I appreciate
model.
that, definitely. Kyle, there's going to be 4 culture bearers at Native Pop this year down here on Main Street Square. You're going to be one of them. And so what role does that culture bearer, that kind of informational booth, I guess, of some sort, play in the art market down here?
Yep, so the culture bearer booth is actually a series of booths. I believe there's going to be 5 booths set up, and each one of the booths has a certain aspect of native culture. We have the Lakota Sewing Circle, and they're going to be covering all types of sewing techniques and designs. We have I believe it's Stephanie Tucrow, who will be presenting quill work, and she'll have a booth with information. We have Geraldine Gozen Center, who will be talking about our traditional foods, preparation, gathering, things like that. And then we also have Mike. He's going to be talking about the games, traditional games, and the role that plays in our culture.
So these really are hands-on booths then. I mean, people can really come and learn kind of the basics and fundamentals to start their own projects or their own, I guess, art or food or whatever the case may be, just to kind of engage and be a part of that then, native and non-native.
Yep.
Yep. And so you're going to be bringing what artwork with you specifically then?
Me, I'll be bringing regalia. In the past, I've done a quill work booth. This year, I'm going to be doing all different types of regalia, beadwork, quill work, also earth painting, and some leather work. And my booth will cover processes dealing with creation of a wapa or a war bonnet. And so people will be able to take a look at that and really see, the meaning behind that, the history behind that, and how the war bonnet, is really a symbol of leadership and the qualities of wool Lakota that we strive for, in our everyday life.
And so engaging with the community and getting them to understand the value systems is a major part of building better relations in our area. So I want to thank you for doing that. Is there any needs as far as your role as a culture bearer down there?
We come prepared. Everything's already laid out for us. We bring our supplies and our exhibits, and we set those up. Native Pop, they do a wonderful job of setting up the art market. July 21st is going to be the art market. We certainly hope that people can attend the art show on Friday the 20th. There's a lot of good artists and known artists from our area who really do a wonderful job of their work.
Good. Darla, thank you very much for being here tonight. Kyle, thank you as well, and thank you both for the work you're doing. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to coming down to Native Pop and seeing your work down there. I want to thank our producers, I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to thank you for making Oyate Today a part of your night.
You've been watching Oyate Today, brought to you by Regional Health.